Arsenal is taking on PSG tomorrow at the Emirates Stadium, semi-finals first leg, and the entire world is obviously gonna be gazing at this beautiful game of football because we anticipate lots of things to happen, and the level at which we've gonna have to reach is determined by what we call how experienced you are, because in most cases inexperienced sides have gonna hate to obviously face it rough. And when you look at PSG in this caliber, they don't have very many experienced players that can obviously recite them being at this level in their career. For example, you can talk about Marquinhos, he can talk about it, Kimpembe can talk about those moments, and who else? I think most of the players are really new to this PSG side, and they are really naive about playing the semi-finals, because Ashraf Hakimi, I think he played in one semi-final, that is it. And did he play the final of 2020? I don't really remember. But Nuno Mendes is another one who is not all that experienced in this a lot. But when you go to the side of Arsenal, they have players that really are also at the same level of experience like those of PSG. The most experienced in the Champions League, I think, would have gone ahead to be Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, all those are out, and Kai Havertz, who scored in the Champions League final. And by the way, for Kai Havertz, there are high chances that he would obviously come and play in the final if at all Arsenal knock out PSG. Then you can talk about Zinchenko, you can talk about Raheem Sterling. Who else can you talk about? I think even Julian Timber really has some good experience, though. When they played at PSG at Ajax, the best they went to was a quarterfinal. They really got knocked out, I think, by Liverpool. Was it Liverpool or Benfica? One of those two teams. So Arsenal and experience in the Champions League is not all that much into this side, but last season they were knocked out at what we call the quarter finals, by Bayern Munich. So smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rokani David is my name. Second video of the day. It has loaded, and hope you guys are really ready to obviously let me know what your thoughts are about this. Now, Arsenal last played last week on Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, and they drew with Crystal Palace 2-2 in a game where William Saliba went ahead to make a mistake that he made in the second leg of the quarterfinals in Bernabeu. You understand? And very many Arsenal fans are really furious at him, and they're like, if it were a decider, wouldn't you have gone ahead to obviously sell your club? You understand? So that is it, and we are here to wait and see how far that will go. Now, we also have PSG. They went ahead to beat Nantes on Friday. That was on the 25th, and it was Morgan. PSG lost. PSG was beaten 3-1 by Nice, and it was Fabian Ruiz who scored in the 41st minute, then Morgan Sanson 34th minute and 46th minute, then Yusuf Ndaishihimie in the 70th minute went ahead to obviously make it 3-1. But when you look at PSG, they had Donnarumma, Hakimi, Marquinhos, Pacho, Mendes, Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, Yao Neves, Doe, Dembele, and Kvaratskhelia. And this is the same team that the manager of PSG might name when Arsenal is obviously playing against PSG, meaning that they lost. And I know many people will obviously come and really put out an excuse that Arsenal put out, that some people put out when Arsenal was really losing to Crystal Palace, drawing to Crystal Palace last week, that their mind was on the game of Arsenal. You understand? But I tell you what, the winning momentum is really very important. I understand that PSG has already gone ahead to win the title, and maybe the manager wanted some much fitness and was like, don't fight for the second balls, don't fight for the 50-50 balls, and we'll see how things will obviously happen. But the stats of that game have come up and obviously shown us when you look at this game, that saw PSG being beaten by Nantes. PSG had 32 shots on target, meaning that they had the lion's share of everything, but they couldn't obviously find themselves scoring because they had 13 shots at goal. You know, that was really very, very, very huge. 17 corners, and Nice had 0. You get? So it shows you that there was interest in the side of PSG to win this game of football, and they were at home to build momentum to this game of Arsenal. Now, when you go to the team news for the club of Arsenal today, Merino and Ben White, who are not part of the squad that really was named by the manager to play against Crystal Palace, showed up today in training. And guess what? The other side of Arsenal players are not yet available. Kai Havertz, Jesus, Tomiyasu, who else in particular? Because Ricardo Carafiori, Kai Havertz, Tomiyasu, and Gabriel Jesus. But the rest of the players are really available. And when you look at the side of PSG, they don't have any player who is really missing in action or injured. So their sick bay is really okay, and they have no player injured. So we head into this game of football with huge anticipation of the game. Now, let's get into the probable starting 11 for the side of Arsenal, and then I'll let you know my probable starting 11 for the side of PSG into this encounter. Now, and by the way, remember this season, Arsenal played PSG and they beat it 2-0 at the Emirates. And remember, the only player who was out of the squad was Kvaratskhelia, and I tell you, he's gonna be the big game changer. I've been really saying this to every Arsenal fan, that I've gonna hate to come across that Kvaratskhelia is a game changer. If you've been following him up on what he is really doing at PSG, he's really that man that is gonna hate to master the art of really creating lots and lots of moments that everyone will really be worried about if you've been following up to the fullest. So that he is the man known as Kvaratskhelia. But the system of Arsenal 4-3-3, that is it, and they rarely change it. Then we go to what we call the probable starting 11. I know David Raya is going to be in between the stitches for the club of Arsenal, no doubt about that. And then, but we wait to see whether he'll obviously have a very huge job to do, like that of Alisson Becker, that he really had to do away in Paris and at home at Anfield, because the fluidity of the front three of PSG was out of this world, and they went ahead, obviously, attacked them left and center. But when they came in at Aston Villa, at the Villa Park, things were not the same. Right back, I see Julian Timber, obviously coming in through to be played as a right back in there. Then left back, I see a player called Lewis Kelly. Obviously, naive, the very first time to see him play into the semi-finals of the Champions League, but he saw to it that even when he was playing against Real Madrid, he was really more comfortable. It looked like he had been playing for the last 10 seasons into the Champions League. Central defense, we have William Saliba on the right side of the center back. And by the way, for Saliba, he needs to watch out a lot, as in the game of Real Madrid away, he made a very big howler. Then, even in the game of Crystal Palace, he made another one. And that was maybe a wake-up call for William Saliba to obviously find himself in a proper position of not really doing the same shit when he's playing against PSG, because I don't anticipate that there will be a chance given to him. Then we go to the central midfield, CDM area. Thomas Partey is out. And guess who is going to be sitting in front of the back four? It's really going to be Declan Rice. And by the way, this has been Declan Rice's favorite position, you understand? And Jorginho would have gone ahead, obviously, come and be deputized for Partey, but he's also injured. And we wait to see how things pan out for the side of Arsenal. But Declan Rice will shield the back four, and it's really a very big negative for Arsenal, because Declan Rice has been adding a lot to them when they are really going forward. Then on who is going to play in the Declan Rice position of number 8, it's really going to be Mikel Merino. And he has shown us that when he leads the line, he's good. Even in the midfield, he's really doing a very, very wonderful job. The other player, you know him very well, Captain Fantastic, the guy, the skipper of Arsenal, who goes by the names of Martin Odegaard, doing what he does best as a player. And if I'm not mistaken, over the weekend, he delivered a cross from a set piece that resulted into Jakub Kiwior scoring for Arsenal in another set piece scenario at Emirates. So he might be also very pivotal into what he's obviously going to be doing for the club of Arsenal that is tomorrow. Then we go to the right forward. It's obviously going to be Bukayo Saka, right? Saka is going to be played as a right forward. I tell you, very good player, very big player, and I really love what he really puts in. And he was really very important in the two-legged game or two-legged tie of Real Madrid. You remember in that 3-0 victory, you know, one of the free kicks that was scored was because it was forward at the D of the 18 box area. And in the second leg, he missed a penalty and rose up and really gave Arsenal the lead. That was Bukayo Saka for you. So that's how things really panned out for Bukayo Saka. And I know he's really getting back to his match fitness. And if you needed him to get the match fitness, I think in that game of Fulham when he returned, then they went ahead to play, I think over the weekend, then Madrid. He has now like 5 games in his legs, and I think this should be really very important. And at the back of his mind, he knows to it that he now has a chance to win a Ballon d'Or. And what does he have to do? Obviously do the needful of really taking Arsenal to the final and lifting the Champions League into the mix. So that's exactly what we really anticipate for this guy known as Bukayo Saka. But he's going to be facing Nuno Mendes, and that's going to be one of the battles that most of us are really going to be enjoying. Then talk of Gabriel Martinelli, a player that really looked good against Real Madrid, scored the second one when the game was 1-1 and gave Arsenal a win. Remember, they last played at the Bernabeu in 2006, and the last time they played, they won 2-1. And even when they went back, they won by a margin of 1 goal. So Martinelli is also going to be important and very valuable. And then you talk about a player called Leandro Trossard leading the line for the club of Arsenal into the mix, because Mikel Merino is nowhere to be seen as a center forward. As Thomas Partey and Jorginho are really out, he has to be played into the midfield. Now you know why Arsenal is looking to bring in 2 midfielders, Bruno Guimaraes and Martin Zubimendi, because right now, if they had another midfielder of a class or quality of Zubimendi or Bruno Guimaraes, I tell you what, it would have gone ahead to pay huge dividends into that kind of scenario. So that's exactly how I believe Arsenal will obviously line up as they take on PSG. Now, let's obviously see how PSG will obviously stand. Donnarumma system, I think they play a 4-2-3-1, if I'm not mistaken, not so? That's what they're really good at, if you've been following them up. 4-3-3. Now, talk about Donnarumma. Donnarumma will obviously play in goal in the system of 4-3-3. Same applies to that of Arsenal. Then Hakimi, Ashraf, right back. Mendes, left back. Marquinhos, right-sided centre-back. Pacho, left-sided centre-back. Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha, and João Neves, midfield 3. Bakola, Dembele, and Kvaratskhelia will lead the line. I think Doe will obviously come off the bench, but you never know how the manager will obviously do it. But I think Bakola is in a very good shape. Now, there are battles that you have to anticipate in this game of football. 1, Saka and Nuno Mendes. Achraf Hakimi taking on Martinelli. Then Leandro Trossard taking on Pacho and Marquinhos. But remember, having Leandro Trossard leading that line will obviously help Arsenal a lot. Though people were excited about Mikel Merino playing that position, but I know what exactly this guy puts on the table. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Leandro Trossard. He's well composed, and he went ahead to showcase his composure in that game that saw him score the second goal when they're playing against Crystal Palace. You understand? His combination with Julian Timber really did well. So he has that composure, and he'll obviously sit down these players and really see to it that he really puts in a very huge battle in there. Then Lewis Kelly versus Ousmane Dembele. You understand? Then Bakola taking on a player known as Julian Timber, and Kvaratskhelia facing Jakub Kiwior and Saliba. Midfield, Rice, Merino and Odegaard will take on Vitinha, João Neves, and the other player known as Fabian Ruiz that was linked to Arsenal last summer. So I'm here to wait and see how things are really going to be panning out for the club of Arsenal. But it's really going to be important that Kvaratskhelia is going to be the man to watch. If Arsenal can really get out Kvaratskhelia, they really have a very huge chance to obviously seal off this game at the Emirates. But if they let Kvaratskhelia find his way through, then you'll tell me what that game of football will be like. Let's go to the head-to-head stats and see where to discuss and what not to discuss. 1. This will be the 6th meeting between Arsenal and PSG, while the Gunners are unbeaten across the previous 5. 2 wins and 3 draws. Arsenal are the opponent that the French side have faced the most times in European competitions without ever winning. So PSG has never beaten Arsenal. And remember, when they went into that side of Real Madrid, Madrid had also not beaten Arsenal, and Arsenal had to knock them out. So I think it might be a blessing for the club of Arsenal that history is in their favor and pedigree will obviously spearhead their luck. Secondly, Arsenal have already beaten PSG in the UEFA Champions League this season, winning 2-0 at the Emirates in the league phase last October. Only one English side has beaten PSG twice in a single edition of a competition. Man City in 2020-2021 semi-finals, 2-1 away and 2-0 at home. So you've had it very well, meaning that it's hard for PSG to obviously lose twice to Premier League sides in the same competition. Can Arsenal even take it to 3-2? We wait and see what will happen tomorrow. Thirdly, Paris Saint-Germain has lost 5 of their last 6 away games against English teams in the UEFA Champions League. 1 win, losing against 4 different opponents in the run. Man City twice, Arsenal, Newcastle, and Aston Villa. And I think they only beat Man United. I remember that very well. They beat Man United at Old Trafford, I think by 2-0, and United went ahead to knock them out 3-1, and they returned, and the other fixture, I think they beat United by 3-1 in there. I think by that time Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the manager of Manchester United. Then thirdly, this will be just the 3rd UEFA Champions League semi-final tie to see 2 Spanish managers face off against each other. Mikel Arteta with Arsenal and Luis Enrique with PSG. After Carles Riach, Barcelona, Vicente Del Bosque at Real Madrid in 2021, in 2001, 2002, and Pep Guardiola, Bayern Munich versus Luis Enrique, Barcelona in 2014, 2015. Lastly, Arsenal are unbeaten in the last 8 games in the UEFA Champions League, 7 wins and 1 draw. This is their second longest run without defeat within a single edition, following a 12-game stretch in 2005, 2006, 8 wins and 4 draws, when they achieved their only final appearance in the competition, finished as run-ups. So it shows you that the stats of Arsenal are almost the same, like those they really had when they when they played into the final. Now, if all that is done and said, Rokani, what's your say? 3-1 win for the club of Arsenal. That is it. 3-1 win for the club of Arsenal. And remember, by the way, Arsenal is one of those teams that have gone ahead to concede the least number of goals. But I've told you, the player for Arsenal to get out is Kvaratskhelia. If Kvaratskhelia is really out of that game, then Arsenal can obviously win it convincingly. But the moment they allow him to come into that game, I'll tell you, it is really going to be a hard game. Though I see a win for Arsenal, and I think if Arsenal get the win, they can obviously go away at PSG and obviously fight for a draw or even beat them, because this PSG side is not as strong as Real Madrid, though it's more organized than Real Madrid. Real Madrid really had sections that never really operated, but games of football won and lost in the midfield. I think this midfield of Arsenal can do better. Rice will win those tackles and will obviously travel everywhere. So tomorrow I go for a 3-1 win for the club of Arsenal. What is your thought? In there, I'm waiting for your reactions into the comment section below. I know Arsenal will get to the final, they will knock out PSG, and they can even overturn that result away in PSG, provided that they really do what they're supposed to do. Rokani David remains my name. This is the second video of the day, and I'm waiting in for your reactions in the comment section below. Here we go, and you will obviously let us know what your thoughts are at this juncture. And from Rokani David and the team of Rokani Media Football, we sign out for now, and we'll be returning with what Arteta is going to be saying into the press conference that is starting 14 minutes from the time I upload this video. So Arteta will have something to speak with an Arsenal player, and then Luis Enrique will also have something to say to Spanish managers meeting at the semi-finals, and we wait to see how things happen, because these two have trace marks of Barcelona into their career. Enrique obviously managed Barcelona. Arteta was a player at Barcelona from the La Masia Academy. Who wins or who takes the day tomorrow? Your comment section, your comments are really highly weighted for in the comment section below. Bye bye and good night to those going to bed.